And we're off. Just a reminder, the depot side is on the right and the inland side is on the left. So on our inland side, you will see the Hyannis Transportation Center. And this is Cape Cod's transportation hub. From here, you can hop a bus to other points on Cape Cod, to Boston, Providence, or even New York City. And you can also rent a car, hail a taxi, or take a shuttle to the Steamship Authority's Hyannis docks or to the Cape Cod Gateway Airport. And along the way, we may slow or stop to ensure the safety gates are lowered and the way is clear at our 39 grade crossing. And a grade crossing is a place where the train crosses over roads, paths, or other train tracks. At busy intersections, such as the one we are approaching at Route 28, our crew takes extra safety measures to ensure no vehicles are trapped between lowering gates. And as we cross each of these locations, our engineer will sound the horn. So if you listen carefully, you will hear 2 long whistles, 1 short whistle, and then 1 long blast of the whistle each time.
Hi, you like free, especially when the kids are younger. Especially when the kids are younger. Bring them up here.
We stay at the Cove in West Young. Cove. Stay at the Cove. We done
As I mentioned, we just are passing over Route 28, also known as Hyannis Road. Hyannis was a Native American sachem and leader of the Mattakees tribe of Wampanoag in Cumberland in the area of what is now Barnstable. Historical records from the time of the Mayflower Compact mention the assistance and entertainment offered by Hyannis and his tribe towards the Pilgrims and later colonists. In fact, when the son of Mayflower passenger John Billington wandered away from the new settlement at Plymouth in January 1621, Hyannis assisted William Bradford and his party in their successful search for the boy. However, all was not well between the Native Americans and the new colonists. And in 1623, following the surprise attack by the Pilgrims on the people of the Massachusetts tribe that winter, many Native Americans in the area, including Hyannis, grew fearful of the European colonists and fled to hide in the area's swamps and remote islands. And it is believed that Hyannis himself, only in his late 20s, died of exposure during this time. In the mid-1800s, a farmer discovered what is believed to be Hyannis' grave while plowing a field. And the gravesite is just north of Route 6A in Cumberland and is maintained by a non-profit organization called Tales of Cape Cod. And the Cape is actually home to more than 2,000 non-profit organizations, including environmental protection, historic preservation, human services, and the arts. And a statue of Hyannis can be found today on the Village Green in downtown Hyannis.
In every corner.
So
are inside, you will see the Cape Cod Gateway Airport, also known as the Barnstable Municipal Airport, or locally Boardman Palando Field. And the airport was founded in 1928 as the Hyannis Airport Corporation, the fourth airport constructed in Massachusetts. And Amelia Earhart, the noted American aviation pioneer, author, and women's rights activist, was an early stockholder and director of the corporation. And the airport is served by scheduled commercial flights to Boston, New Bedford, New York, Martha's Vineyard, and Nantucket, as well as charters, cargo, and general aviation. And on July 28, 1931, Russell Boardman and Johnny Palando took off from the Bennett Field in New York City and landed 49 hours later on July 30th at Isilko Airport in Istanbul, Turkey, successfully completing the first recorded transatlantic flight since Lindbergh's in 1927. And more importantly, setting a new non-stop distance world record in a plane named Cape Cod. And the two friends and aviators considered the Hyannis Airport their home base, training here for their record-setting flight for more than a year before making the attempt. And in 1981, on the 50th anniversary of their historic flight, the airport added Boardman Palando to the name in their honor.
No. The beginning. About all the story. Yeah, who's gonna name the story? What is the top? Also have the token from the 911. Say what happened, and then say this is a good story. And I think that's right now we have
Just too smart. Let's go to New York. Oh, he said I want to go to New York. That's Canada too. That's our grand son that is in your son's age. The same thing. It's like he wants to go to New York because there's certain things. He wants to go to New York because they're just so smart. They're bright kids. I've never even done it. I would like to do that myself. I've been to the Empire Building, Statue of Liberty. No, but I'm just saying, we got to New York. No, we really never.
And then we went to see the Mets and the Red Sox twice.
But to go walk through New York, we've never done.
I think we did a little
Oh, we never went to Nicole's.
Yeah. When we went down underground by Rockefeller.
No, that's what the kids played. Mel was playing basketball. They took us down. Yeah. We went to that restaurant. They had the, it was like RTD to come up to you.
Inside cave, 3 levels down by Rockefeller.
And there was like Martians that came up to you.
Everybody had Martian uniforms.
They took our order. It was like, where are we? There was no window. Like you couldn't forget about it. That was before 9/11 because I'm telling you, I would never have gone down there before 9. But yeah, that was weird. I remember that. Hey, did we take you had to take a train to go to
New Jersey, we had to check
No,
out.
but we went to that restaurant.
New Jersey was in front. Then we went to the Lego place.
So you got to New York and you never saw all that. The big 12 Have you been to Florida?
Shortly, we will be passing under Route 6, also known as the Mid-Cape Highway. Constructed in the early 1950s, this road spans from the tip of the Cape Cod Peninsula in Provincetown all the way to the Canal. In fact, Route 6 is one of the original interstate highways and stretches all the way to Bishop, California. And although Route 6 is not the prettiest way to see Cape Cod, it is at times the quickest, except perhaps during the summer season and major holiday weekends when Route 6 looks just like a parking lot more than a
We're
highway.
not doing that again, but that was pretty good. We got that out of our way. And then you go to all the, and then you go to, Disney World, and you go to like all the different parks. Two big vans. Two big vans we had to wear. It was a lot, but it was good.
Kids didn't like it. Even this my son didn't like it.
Well, the little ones don't really know a lot, but if like I think
Two baby strokes.
like Jackie doesn't remember, she was just a really choosy baby. Felix, sometimes if you show him some pictures, he kind of remembers. But then the other ones, all,
And as we travel through the woods on our journey, you are going to catch glimpses of one of the many kettle ponds that can be found on Cape Cod. They're usually on both sides of the train. And these kettle ponds are usually deep and round with extremely steep sides. And kettle ponds occurred as a result of blocks of ice breaking from the front of the receding glacier and becoming partially or wholly buried by glacial outwash. And when the ice blocks melted, kettle holes are left in the sand. And the kettle pond that's coming up on the depot side of the train is Dennis Pond. And you probably might want to take a picture of this because we're going to see the whole pond and it is beautiful. And it is a popular spot for both swimming and fishing. And there are 890 freshwater ponds on Cape Cod. You could swim in 2 different ponds every day. Here it is, right there on the depot side. So if you try to swim in the 890 freshwater ponds on Cape Cod, you could swim in 2 different ponds every day for a year, and you still aren't going to see them all. Isn't that pond beautiful?
Tobago, I love. But like, other places,
Chatham.
you're like
We're
going
gonna go to Chatham. It's very nice down there.
Yeah, let's go down to fishing.
And on the inland side, you will see the Comiquid Golf Club. Dating from 1895, it is the second oldest golf course on Cape Cod. And through the years, many have wondered how and why the club decided to adopt a silver Indian arrowhead as its insignia. And Comiquid is a Wampanoag word meaning long point, which is the original native name for sandy neck. Don't forget to wave to all the golfers out there. They love it when we do that. And you may remember I mentioned Comiquid as the area where Hyannis and his tribe lived. And it is speculated that many arrowheads were discovered buried in the land as they constructed this golf course. And it is a tradition of Pemaquid in many courses for golfers to wear 2 pairs of socks. You know why you have to wear 2 pairs of socks if you're a golfer? In case you get a hole in one.
So it's going to get me. So do you drive the car from all over the ground and stuff?
A little too late on that. Oh, house.
There's the beach.
Oh, yes.
I don't know how it looks when I
You
got
want
there.
to see that? You have to get there a little bit later than you want to see the sun going down. That's beautiful. No, but it's really pretty out there. It is. We love it. You want to see that?
I got a piece of opera.
It was very emergency.
No. So this is Providence Street. That's one of the pictures of Providence Street. Nice little beach area.
You can sit over here.
It's fun. They have a lot of shops if you like to look at the shop.
Oh, wait, it's not so you guys I am.
No, this is all the strip this year. This area. Oh yeah, we got so many. We took a walk yesterday. I take a
And on both sides of the train, you will observe the Cape Cod Organic Farm. And this farm consists of approximately 80 acres of land and has been at its present site for the past 50 years. And most of this Cape Cod Organic Farm is owned and leased by private growers. And they grow their crop and they sell it to restaurants and local food stores here on the Cape. And access to this Cape Cod farm is located on Route 6A in the town of Barnstable. They used to sell to the public, but I heard that they don't do that anymore. But you still can go over there and take a look around if you're interested.
Oh, there's a house right there. You'll see that on the way back. You'll see that golf course on the way back. Are you gonna go to Rhode Island? This trip? Oh, next trip. So,
You don't think people are done here.
okay, all right. So I'm just saying, so you guys have another break, another vacation coming up.
I think we just went one too many times.
So you're planning this year. So does he have any more camps to go to? Oh, when you go back home, yes. Oh, so they put it, is it the same camp that just goes different places?
Now, on the depot side of the train, we're going to be passing by the red brick building known as the Barnstable County Department of Corrections Facilities. Now, housing the Barnstable County Community Corrections Center. And this building is the former jail. And a few years back, the inmates that were housed here were moved to a new facility on the Massachusetts Military Reserve, Otis Air Force Base in Bourne. And unfortunately, the move did not go as smoothly as expected. It seems that the prisoner in the cell on the southeastern corner of the top floor wouldn't leave. And I can't really blame him. He was leaving $1 million cell. After all, he was giving up one of the best views on Cape Cod. From his cell, he could see the Atlantic Ocean, Nantucket Sound, Cape Cod Bay, and the Canal. But we got him out, and he's not there anymore.
I guess you get like 7 nights.
So when you go back to
And as we continue our travels, keep an eye out for the many birds and animals that share the beauty of Cape Cod with us. You might see osprey, cormorant, great blue heron, egret, and red-tailed hawks in flight, or fox, deer, and coyotes along the tracks.
They were like, they have a, no, they said they have enough.
Yeah.
They said they have enough. So that they have a good
I don't think that was a deer. How about a coyote?
and then they switch. So he's gonna learn it. That's cool.
Well, we're not going to
And it's like yesterday, you said they were fishing on the boat.
So you drop them off at the door.
Now, in just a few minutes, you will get your first glimpse of one of the prettiest views on our trip today. The dunes and marshes of Cape Cod Bay on the depot side of the train. And in 1620, it was into Cape Cod Bay that the Mayflower first sailed. And contrary to popular belief, it was in Provincetown, not Plymouth, that the Pilgrims first landed. And while in Provincetown, or P-Town for the locals, the Pilgrims stole corn from the Wampanoags at Corn Hill
Get a
in
hold of us.
Truro.
Over here towards
And the Wampanoags gave chase across what is now known as First Encounter Beach in Easton. And it was during their nearly 6-week sojourn in P-Town that the Pilgrims created the Mayflower Compact. And the compact was a written document setting out the common goals of the participants in the creation of fair and equal laws for the general good of the settlement and with majority consensus. And the Pilgrim Monument, built in honor of that first landing site and the Pilgrim's time in Provincetown, is the tallest all-granite structure in the United States. And it was completed in 1910 and stands 252 feet tall. Located atop High Pole Hill, the monument offers stunning views of the Atlantic, Cape Cod Bay, Barnstable, and Plymouth harbors, and even Boston on a clear day.
A friend of mine lives down
So the rest of July.
I forgot to ask him. I meant to ask him.
2 weeks in August.
Here comes the dunes on the depot side. These dunes, which border Cape Cod Bay, are called Sandy Neck, and they form one of the largest barrier beaches on the North Atlantic coast, stretching more than 6 miles in length. The dunes are created when strong coastal winds sweep grains of sand inland. Beach crabs, driftwood plants, and anything in the wind's path traps the sand, which gradually mounds and begins to take shape. A gentle slope on the windward side can go to heights of 100 feet with a hard drop on the lead. As if never content with its creation, the wind continuously sculpts and shifts the sand, creating an ever-changing maze of hummocks and intervening valleys. The ecology of the dunes is a naturalist paradise. Beach plums, salt spray roses, bayberry, and beach heather flowers. Blueberries and wild cranberry bogs bear fruit. Cattails and prickly pears beach grass and beach pea, jack in the pulpit, and seaside asters abound. And the dunes are also a host of hundreds of resident and migratory birds and animals. And salt marshes are coastal wetlands that form in areas protected from erosion, typically behind a barrier beach or a tidal flat. In the flatland leading up to the train, on the depot side, is the Great Salt Marsh of Barnstable, spanning over 5,000 acres. It is the second largest salt marsh on the East Coast. The largest can be found on Chesapeake Bay. And salt marshes are dominated by grasses and characterized by dense peat layers. And take a look on the inland side. We're going to go by the osprey nest, and there's one in there. Oh, take a look. It's so nice. There was babies in there a couple of weeks ago, but they must be out and about by now. But salt marshes are dominated by grasses and characterized by dense peat layers beneath the lush surfaces. It takes roughly 100 years to form a foot of peat, and these dense dark peat layers are more than 5,000 years old, and they form the base of a very complex marine and estuarine food web. And salt marshes are among the most productive ecosystems on the planet. The grasses take up nutrients, and the anaerobic bacteria that live in the ecosystem break down nitrates so efficiently that water quality is often improved by flowing through a marsh. And the grasses also slow down tidal currents and capture sediments, which gradually raise the levels of the marsh until only high tides flood it. And salt marshes provide a haven for many different organisms, with 2/3 of all commercially important fish and shellfish spending at least part of their lives in the salt marsh. And here we go by Barnstable Station. I'll tell you about that on the way back. Salt marshes are destroyed by draining, filling, and dumping of dredged spoils, which typically occurs with development. Heavy metals, pesticides, and other contaminants may enter the marsh system, become concentrated in the sediment, and eventually work their way up the food web. In a concerted effort to protect and preserve open space for future generations, organizations such as the Barnstable Land Trust have been formed. And the trust is a private non-profit membership organization dedicated to preserving the open spaces and natural resources of the town of Barnstable. And the organization holds a wildlife habitat, scenic views, wetlands, sensitive watershed parcels, forests, and other valuable open space in its natural state, in perpetuity, for the benefit of the community. And soon, we will see cranberry bogs on both sides of the track. And the cranberry, along with the blueberry and Concord grape, is one of North America's 3 native fruits that are commercially grown. And the name cranberry derives from the Pilgrim name for the fruit craneberry, so called because the small pink blossoms that appear in the spring resemble the head of the bill of a sandhill crane. Look at how pretty these are that are coming up. We're going to see a lot of them. And the cranberries help sustain Americans for hundreds of years. Native Americans use cranberries in a variety of foods. The most popular was pemmican, a high-protein combination of crushed cranberries, dried deer meat, and melted fat. Doesn't that sound delicious? We considered adding this to our snack bar menu, but decided that popcorn, another treat colonists learned about from the Wampanoag people, would be more popular, which it really is. Everybody loves the popcorn. The Wampanoags also use cranberries as medicine to treat arrow wounds as a dye for rugs and blankets. American whalers and mariners carried cranberries on their voyages to prevent scurvy, and early European settlers found the berry to be a valuable bartering tool. The first recorded recipe for cranberry sauce was in a Pilgrim cookbook dating from 1633. Today, cranberries are commercially grown throughout the northern part of the United States and are available in both fresh and processed forms. And one of the largest cranberry bogs can be found on Nantucket. Cranberries are a unique fruit, and they can only grow and survive under a very special combination of factors. They require an acid peat soil, an adequate fresh water supply, sand, and a growing season that stretches from April to November, including a dormancy period in the winter months that provides an extended chilling period necessary to mature fruiting buds. Contrary to popular belief, cranberries do not grow in water. Instead, they grow on vines in impermeable beds layered with sand, peat, gravel, and clay. In these beds, commonly known as bogs, were originally made by glacial deposits and were further developed as European settlers began to commercially cultivate the fruit around 1816. And normally growers do not need to replant, as an undamaged cranberry vine will survive indefinitely. Some vines in Massachusetts are more than 150 years old. Yikes! Roughly 1/3 of the world's cranberry harvest is grown here in Massachusetts. Major growing areas also include New Jersey, Oregon, Washington, Wisconsin, and the Canadian provinces of British Columbia and Quebec. And altogether, the entire cranberry industry is supported by approximately 47,000 acres, 14,000 acres of which are in southeastern Massachusetts. So a 2-acre bog will yield approximately 19 tons of cranberries in a single season. And because cranberry bogs require so much water, they are almost always located next to a kettle pond.
Before it's in all good.
how much it costs to get in. She said it's cheap. It's not that bad.
But that tent is huge.
That thing is so big. When you everything else, it doesn't matter. Everything goes up. Everything's going down.
Get your cameras ready. You might want to take a picture of this beautiful kettle pond called Oxy Pond. It is also known as the Old Swimming Hole. And the depth of this kettle pond is 35 feet. And it covers 8.5 acres. And Oxy Pond is primarily a put and take trout fishery and is annually stocked in the spring with rainbow, brook, and brown trout. And on the way back, I'm going to tell you a story about Hoxie Pond. That's a really good one that you'll like. Now we are traveling through the town of Sandwich, and Sandwich is the oldest town on Cape Cod, and one of the oldest towns in the United States, founded in 1637 by Edmund Freeman. The town is named for the seaport of Sandwich, Kent, England, and Sandwich was the site of an early Quaker settlement. However, the settlement was not well received as their beliefs clashed with those of the Puritans who founded the town. And many Quakers left Sandwich, either for the settlement further along the Cape and out on the island, or for the mainland locations like Dartmouth. And there are many interesting attractions in Sandwich, including heritage museums and gardens, which consist of 100 acres of gardens and trails with more than 1,000 varieties of trees, shrubs, and flowers. And it houses the J.K. Lilly Antique Automobile Museum, where both antique and classic cars are on display, and an American History Museum, which currently features the Cape Cod Baseball League Hall of Fame, and also a 1912 antique carousel and an 1800 windmill are also located on the grounds. And since 1907, Sandwich Glass Museum has delighted visitors with sparkling exhibits that describe the transformation of a small farming community into one of the world's most respected manufacturers of 19th century glass. Here you can see demonstrations of decorative glass bead making and visit the distinctive museum shops. For those interested in shopping, Sandwich is home to numerous art galleries and shops offering everything from antiques and rare books to souvenirs and sand toys. And then on the inland side, we're going by the Twin Ponds. And in between those Twin Ponds is Route 6A, traveling right between the two of them. That's a nice kettle pond there. And then the Sandwich Town Boardwalk crosses Mill Creek in beautiful marshes leading to a lovely public beach on Cape Cod Bay, stretching over 1,000 feet in length. And the original wooden walkway was virtually destroyed by Hurricane Bob in 1991, but has since been rebuilt, continuing to offer scenic views from the Cape Cod Canal to Squalton Creek. Now we're gonna go by that boardwalk, but we're not near it yet, but I'll let you know when to look for it. It's gonna be on the depot side. And on July 3rd, 1825, Deming Jarvis first fired up the kilns inside his massive Boston and sandwich glass factory along the marshes where the current boardwalk now stands. And the factory used a press with patented molds created by Jarvis to mass produce glass. It was the biggest glass factory in the United States at the time. And Jarvis was attracted to Sandwich because of its bountiful forests, which provided fuel for the kilns, marsh grasses which could be gathered to use to wrap and pack glasses in boxes, and the abundance of sand for use in the glass making process. Unfortunately, the iron content in the sand turned the glass orange, and this resulted in the need to bring in sand from New Jersey and Pennsylvania. And in 1880, Pennsylvania would take over the glass industry, and by 1888, the Boston and Sandwich Glass Company, which had employed 600 people and attracted many glassmakers to Sandwich, closed its doors. And coming up on the depot side pretty soon, we're going to be able to spot that boardwalk, but I'll let you know when we get there, surrounded by unspoiled natural beauty. You'd never guess the largest glass factory in the United States once stood there. So get your cameras ready, although it is really far away from the train, and you really have to look and keep looking, because you got to look for that black fence, but it's upcoming. It's not in this opening that we're going by yet, but it's coming up pretty soon. Okay, get ready. This next opening is the boardwalk. Way in the distance, you'll see that black railing of the boardwalk way over there in the distance. It's kind of hard to see, but it's there. We're going to go by it again on the way back, too. And coming up on the depot side, we can see the Canal generating plant, a division of Myran, an independent supplier of electrical power. And the Canal generating plant has been in operation for more than 40 years. Its 500-foot smokestack is the tallest structure on Cape Cod. And you're not going to believe this, but it's taller than the Statue of Liberty, which is 375 feet high. And it's nearly as high as the Washington Monument, which stands just about 555 feet tall. And the staff is also taller than the Berkeley Building in Boston, formerly the John Hancock Building, which is 495 feet high. And locals know that in addition to being a historic site in the Boston skyline, the Berkeley building is also a weather observatory and forecasts the weather using lights at the top of its spire. Steady blue means clear view. Flashing blue means clouds due. Steady red, rain ahead. And flashing red, snow instead. Except in the summer, when the flashing red means Red Sox game is canceled. The Canal generating plant generates 1 billion watts per hour, which is consumed by more than 1 million homes on Cape Cod and southeastern Massachusetts. And the tanks here can store up to 1 million barrels of oil, which is enough to run the plant for a month. And the plant can also run on natural gas or a combination of gas and oil. And this gas and oil needed for the plant are delivered by tankers or barges. So upcoming is the real treat of the Cape Cod Canal. And now that we are going by the generating plant, we're going to call the depot side the canal side. So you're going to start seeing the canal peeking through all the trees that we're going to go by before you get that beautiful, beautiful view of the canal. So get ready, you are gonna love this. So the idea of constructing a canal through the Isthmus of Cape Cod was first considered and explored by Miles Standish of Plymouth Colony in 1623. And two existing rivers, the Manamet, later called the Monument River, flowing into Buzzards Bay, and the Scusset River, flowing into Cape Cod Bay, were separated by just over a mile of land between them. And Standish recognized that a waterway connecting Buzzards Bay and Cape Cod Bay would facilitate trade between Plymouth Colony, the Native Americans, and the Dutch merchants sailing from New York. And although such an undertaking was far beyond the means of the small colony, the proposal by Standish remained an enduring idea. And during the Revolutionary War, George Washington saw a need for a canal to give greater security to the American fleet against its enemies. And over the next century, numerous surveys and canal feasibility studies were conducted, and some were granted charters, and a few even began construction, but they either ran out of money or were overwhelmed by the enormity of the project. Look at the view! Oh, we can see it now. It's perfect on the canal side. Look at the water, it's nice and calm. I hope there's a lot of boats going by. Last week, the tall ships came through. 3 of them that we saw. And meanwhile, the toll of shipwrecks along the 165 miles of treacherous outer banks of Cape Cod continued to mount. And during the late 1880s, shipwrecks occurred at the rate of 1 every 2 weeks. And upcoming, here we're going under the Sagamore Bridge. And in 1904, the wealthy financier, August Perry Belmont, became interested in the canal project. And on June 22nd, 1909, he ceremoniously lifted the first shovelful of earth at Bourndale, promising not to desert the task until the last shovelful has been dug. And it took him 5 years And on July 29, 1914, the Cape Cod Canal opened as a privately operated toll waterway with a depth of only 15 feet. And Belmont did this in part to achieve his objective of opening the Cape Cod Canal before the Panama Canal opened, which that opened up 17 days later on August 15, 1914. And in part, he wanted to collect revenue from ships to fund the deepening of the canal. And the festive parade of ships included the excursion steamer Rose Standard, the destroyer McDougal, carrying the then Assistant Secretary of the Navy, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and Belmont's 81-foot yacht, Scott. And in 1915, with the channel through the canal 20 feet deep, 2,689 vessel transits were recorded, and the following year, after the official completion of the canal at its full depth of 32 feet at mean low water, the number of vessel transits reached 4,634 with a gross tonnage of 3.5 million. However, the original canal never achieved the level of traffic or revenue its investors envisioned. Several serious accidents caused lengthy canal closures, and mariners began to fear the swift currents and narrow bridge openings. And before the end of 1915, Belmont had already attempted to sell the faltering canal to the federal government. And on July 22, 1918, a German submarine fired on the American tug Perth Amboy in waters 3 miles off Nauset Beach on the outer arm of Cape Cod. And to assure greater coastwise navigational safety, President Woodrow Wilson ordered the Federal Railroad Administration to take over and operate the canal. And Belmont returned operation of the canal after World War I. And then in 1927, he sold the canal to the federal government for $11.5 million, which would be the equivalent of approximately $224 million in today's money. And Congress directed the Army Corps of Engineers to operate and improve the Foundering Canal under the River and Harbors Act of 1927. So a detailed questionnaire was distributed to shipping companies to find out why the various vessel types were avoiding the canal. And they learned that the movable bridge spans normally kept in the down position for land-based travel were causing great difficulty for mariners who were often faced with stemming a swift current while waiting for the bridges to open. And going around the tip of the Cape, however, added up to 165 miles through dangerous waters. And since the drawbridges could only be crossed when there was no marine traffic, automobiles and carriages going to and from Cape Cod also experienced delays. Guided by this knowledge, the Corps selected 2 land areas that were naturally elevated and erected fixed high-level bridges designed to accommodate the superstructure of large ocean-going vessels by providing a vertical clearance of 135 feet above mean high water and full horizontal clearance of 480 feet. Built simultaneously, the bridges opened to traffic in June 1935. And the Sagamore Bridge stands about 2.5 miles from the eastern end of the canal cut, and the Bourne Bridge about 1 2/3 miles from the western end. And every year, more than 35 million vehicles pass over these bridges, which provide the only land link between Cape Cod and the rest of Massachusetts. So I was telling you that all those 35 million vehicles pass over the bridges, which provide the only land link between Cape Cod and the rest of Massachusetts, because contrary to popular bumper stickers found in all the tourist shops around here, there are no tunnels linking us with the mainland, nor is there a catapult or a zip line, despite what some social media accounts would have you believe. So these are just all lighthearted ways to fool all the tourists. And just to let you know, us locals would never tell you about the tunnel if we had it, because we'd want to get through it without any delays. So the Cape Cod Canal holds a Guinness World Record. It's a 480-foot width, makes this the widest sea level canal in the world. And the canal was also designated as a National Historic Civil Engineering Landmark in 1985, and it is 7.4 miles long. It features a swift running current which switches direction every 6 hours and can reach 4.5 knots. That's 5.2 miles per hour in our language. And here we go under the Bourne Bridge. Yay! In the maintenance roads that were used during the construction of the canal are now extensively used for recreational activities such as walking, bicycling, and jogging, as well as sport fishing. So you see people out there, be waving away to them. They love it when we do that. And then, of course, on all the houses on the inland side, they love it when we wave to them, too. Oh, and this just in, I have 2 box lunches in the Falmouth car that weren't picked up. The last name is Poe and Hunold. So if you didn't pick up your box lunches and you're on the train, go to the Falmouth car and they'll be there waiting for you. And we're going to stop right now while we reverse directions and the engineers, move to the front of the train so that we can be on our way back to the depot. So we'll relax here for a few minutes. So just take in all the sights around here, and hopefully you see the cormorants. Those birds are black birds, and they're usually up on the wires looking to see when they should dive into the canal to get